Hello, well, good afternoon. My name is Eric Morales. Takundiyanando, Shayu a toda mi gente Newsabi, Eric Nani, and I will be your host tonight for another episode of the Tasha Luz Lesson News Station. Today, we will be talking about the Mexican politics, gentrification, and its effects on the people. As some of you know, the political climate in Mexico is especially hot, with cartel violence on the rise, and especially with the killing of the mayor of Uruapan, Michoacan, Carlos Manzo, with later information coming forth, with 7 to 8 of his bodyguards being behind the connection to his murder. And the people believe that President Sheinbaum is working with cartel and has had some connection with his murder. Many Mexicans have moved to the United States in order to have support their family and to live the American dream. But why did many Mexicans leave Mexico? What specifically made them leave to the United States? Was it to escape violence? Was it the economy? This project will explore the impact of the politics, gentrification, and its effects on the Mexican citizens. Nowadays, many of those people who called Mexico dangerous and will not even step foot in Mexico are raising the property value, the rent, inhabiting those places, displacing many Mexican citizens and locals, calling themselves expats and not immigrants. The continuous gentrification in Mexico has been seen by many people as modern day colonization, with white Americans coming to Mexico and buying up the land, homes, not speaking the language, not involving themselves in their communities nor the culture, and kicking out many of the locals. When speaking to this student, this my first international student interviewee, they asked to remain anonymous to keep themselves safe, but they are okay with letting us know that they are around the age of 60. During this interview, she explains that she lived in Mexico from the time she was born up until she was 20 and came to the United States through coyotes that her boyfriend at the time had paid in order for her to cross. At the time, Mexico had gotten itself a miracle that ended up boosting their economy, but due to poor management, it did not last long. In her pueblo, cartel violence was on the rise and it was not safe for her to stay, and to this day, it continues to run rampant all across Mexico, as well as her pueblo in Teocatiche, Jalisco. In my second interview, 47-year-old interviewee states how he has been working since he was 4 years old in order to help his mother sell food, and then was later shipped off to work with his uncle when he was just 15, who worked for the Mexican military as a cook. The interviewee was in charge of the logistics of purchasing, hauling, cooking the food for the soldiers on and off of their bases, as well as overseeing the kitchen to make sure everything was in check. Later, he met his brother decided to stop working for their uncle in order to escape the abuse and mistreatment, as well as to better their education. During the mid-90s, Mexico was trying to recover from the 1982 debt crisis. Because of the president at the time, Carlos Salinas de Gortari, and his brother stole millions and devalued the Mexican peso, setting their country back many years. Gortari and his brother created aliases and robbed money from the government funds and put them into Swiss banks. But once Gortari ended his term, the Mexican peso had already devalued. His brother was caught and put into jail. But for Gortari himself, he had fled Mexico by self-exile to Ireland for for many years and has continued to stay there up until today. And for the money, the Swiss banks kept them. Now, Colosio was supposed to be the successor for Cotrari and was later supposed to be the change that Mexico was waiting for, but he was later assassinated during his presidential campaign. It was said that Cotrari sent a hit on Colosio because he was going against Cotrari, and Colosio was later replaced by Ernesto Zedillo. During this time, the interviewer had left Mexico in order to escape their economic struggles and to achieve better education. When speaking to my last interviewee, age 22, he described living in Mexico City where he grew up in Roma Norte. Roma Norte is the most gentrified area of Mexico City in the entire capital, whereas reports say since COVID, gentrifiers have calling themselves expats have been coming in to buy up land, homes, and to create Airbnbs for their own profit. This caused a lot of problems with the locals in Mexico City, especially with for the interviewee which caused them to come here to the United States to live with their family and continue studying. During For my first source, during the 70s, the cartel violence was rampant with Rafael Caro Quintero was running not just the drug trafficking, but as well as being very involved in the Mexican government and politics. He was the former Guadalajara cartel leader, killing a US DEA agent who was on his case for many years, and when he was captured, he was tortured for months. Quote, Mexico has sent 29 drug cartel figures, including drug lord Rafael Caro Quintero, who's behind the killing of a US DEA agent in 1985, to the United States as the Trump administration turns up the pressure on drug trafficking organizations. NPR, The Associated Press 2025. My second source, it speaks on the corruption of Carlos Cotrari and his ties to the money scandal of him stealing 9,041,598.68, which put Mexico back by many years in devaluing the Mexican peso. He was accused of election fraud, using the money from his campaign in order to store it into offshore Swiss accounts, which was later not retrieved back to the Mexico. Now, when reading my last sort, now reading sources about the protests against the gentrification of Mexico City, Will Grant has spoken with a wide amount of people, and I've gotten to know their frustrations. Grant says, quote, demonstrators gathered in Parque Mexico in the Condesas district, the epicenter of gentrification in the Mexican capital, to protest over a range of grievances. Were angry about exorbitant rent hikes, unregulated holiday lettings, and the endless influx of Americans and Europeans into the city's trendy neighborhoods like Condesa, Roma, and La Juarez, forcing out long-term residents. In Condesa alone, estimates suggest that as many as 1 in 5 homes is now a short-term let or a tourist dwelling. Others also cited prosaic changes, the restaurant menus in English, or milder hot sauces at the taco stands to cater for the sensitive foreign palates. But it has moved through the gentrified streets. The initially peaceful protests turned ugly. Radical demonstrators attacked coffee shops and boutique stores aimed at tourists, smashing windows, intimidating customers, spraying graffiti, and chanting "Fuera gringo," which means gringos out. At her next daily conference, President Claudia Sheinbaum condemned the violence as xenophobic. End quote. With the research that I have done on this topic, I can say that after analyzing it all, it is heartbreaking to hear some of the stories that I have to hear from the from the interviews, as well as reading these sources online, the videos that I have watched on social media of during these protests. In conclusion, the politics in Mexico affect on a major scale in which they might sometimes have to migrate in order to escape from violence, from the cartel, from economic issues that they deal with. Many citizens of Mexico have had to work hard at a very young age in order to help their parents have enough money for food, rent, and other necessities to live. And by these expats, migrants, coming in, it makes it even harder for locals to continue living in Mexico as it is. Thank you. This has been another episode of Tasha Leso News Station. I hope you guys can tune in another time. Thank you. Have a good night.